I'm Captain Rob Darling, Company 1 B Shift, and I want to welcome you to this edition of
Virginia Beach Frontline Firefighter.
Coming up on this edition of Virginia Beach Frontline Firefighter, on the marine scene we bring you part 2 of a 3-part series outlining the partnership between the Virginia Beach Fire Department and the United States Coast Guard. This month, the Coast Guard gives us tips on what to do if they find themselves needing to be rescued. Master Firefighter Mike Kellerh gives us the second part of a 2-part series on vehicle stabilization. Captain Ray Chisnell gives us an overview of the new Quint at Station 17. I'm Master Firefighter Tom Parks. Here's this month's host of Virginia Beach Frontline Firefighter, Master Firefighter Stuart Sayer.
Hello everyone and welcome to the first edition of 2015. Today on the marine scene, we're going to do part 2 of a 3-part series about the relationship between the Virginia Beach Fire Department and the United States Coast Guard. We're going to talk about what to do when a rescuer needs to be rescued.
Emergencies. What happens if the aircraft is near you and it goes into the water, or even crashes on land? For us, hoisting is relatively high risk for us. If the big fan stops turning, we go down into the water. We have 2 engines. If we are flying around and one engine quits, we typically are going to be okay. We can continue to fly slower and make it to land and do a landing and safely land the aircraft. If we are hovering 50 feet over the water and one of those engines quits, we are likely to go straight down into the water. That one engine is not powerful enough by itself to allow us to hover. Hovering is the hardest thing for a helicopter to do. It requires the most amount of power. If we lose one of those engines and we're hovering, we're going to try to do something that's going to be very, very fast, and we're not going to tell you what's happening. The first thing we're going to try to do is start flying, if we can. If we can get forward airspeed, the aircraft becomes more aerodynamic advantage to us to get some forward airspeed so that we have a chance possibly to fly away and go land at an airport. If that happens, that's going to be just an instinctive action by pilots to manipulate the flight controls to start flying. We're not going to call and say, hey, we just had an engine failure. What we're going to do now is go ahead and transition to forward flight, so you're going to see us fly away. That's not going to happen. It's just going to be, you're going to see the aircraft just go. The flight mechanic is going to have the responsibility of where the cable is, what's going on with all that, right, all that stuff. I'm just going to fly, and he's going to have to get rid of whatever is hanging out of the aircraft somehow, some way. And that I rely on him, trust him to do that. Whether that means he brings the stuff back in lickety-split if it's not very far below the aircraft. If it's on deck, he might just shear the cable so that the cable and everything falls and we can go. I can't think about that. I got other things on my mind. He's going to take care of that for me. You may be hoisting with us and all of a sudden you're standing there with a whole, 50 feet of cable in your hand and the helicopter is going that way. And we may not ever call you to tell you what happened. You may get a phone call 4 hours later saying, hey, this is what happened out there. We lost an engine, we had to go, and we safely landed on deck somewhere. Truthfully though, unless we're really light, don't have a lot of gas on board, and if we don't have 30 or 40 knots of wind on the aircraft, we're probably not going to be able to successfully fly away like that. And so we're going to come straight down, or forward and down. We'll try to be down and away from your boat or your vessel if that happens. Again, the flight mech is still going to try to get rid of this device. We don't want to be attached to anything. We don't want to have the cable on deck and get wrapped up as we're coming forward and down. Nothing good happens there. If we do have to go into the water, we are going to try to land nice and flat and level. We don't want to nose dive into it. We want to make it a survivable crash into the water, nice and flat, land like a pancake. And then if we can survive that, we have a chance of, when the aircraft eventually, the rotors stop turning enough and eventually the aircraft rolls over and we're upside down, that we're all in a physical state that we can egress the aircraft. That's essentially goal number 1, fly away if we can. Goal number 2, survive the impact so that we can get out of the aircraft. So what you would see is the aircraft lands, it's going to do one of these for a couple seconds, and it's eventually going to roll over. Rotor blades are going to go everywhere at 1,000,000 miles an hour because they'll still be turning, and when they hit the water, they're going to shatter into a bazillion pieces. And the best thing you can do is do one of these. because it's going to be pieces of fiberglass and steel and all that going a lot of bad directions. That won't last for long, and then the aircraft will continue to roll over. It'll be upside down, the belly will be up. Who knows how long? A couple seconds, maybe a minute. Who knows how long it's going to stay afloat? Eventually it's going to start to sink. Meanwhile, hopefully we're in our harnesses. We're physically able to start using our oxygen that we have on our vests, and that we'll be able to release our emergency releases, our windows, seat belts, safely get out of the aircraft without snagging. And hopefully you just see 4 people pop up on the sides of the aircraft with their vests inflated. If that happens, please come pick us up. Back to, okay, the aircraft's upside down. If you're on scene, if you haven't seen people pop up, there's still people in the aircraft. We do have small oxygen bottles, 10 seconds, 15, 20 seconds worth of air. That's kind of what would happen. So then what do we want from you? Well, we want you to come get us. That's what we want. Who knows? We could be in an air bubble underneath there. We could survive for minutes or hours. Who knows? That's obviously the best case scenario. Over land, we could be hoisting over land in a search and rescue kind of scenario. We do get called to do inland SAR sometimes. Same situation. If something happens, we're going to try to fly away. If not, we're going to try to land. If we happen to be over a forest, over trees, over a swamp, you know, that's where we're going. We're going down. Really, the same things apply. In that case, we'd be more concerned with a fire risk, a post-crash fire, when all 6,000 pounds of gas spills out and ignites. But same. If we have that engine failure while we're hoisting over land, we're coming straight down. Hopefully we want to survive that first initial impact. Every exit is marked with what you need to do on the outside to be able to open our emergency exit. Same thing applies for even landing on land, where we hit pretty hard. The aircraft stays upright, it doesn't burst into flames, but we impact hard, and or shallow water. In other words, the aircraft looks to be sound and solid, but the crew is somehow incapacitated or whatever, and things are still going. If you can wait for the blades to stop turning, definitely do that, because they may still be turning. The slower they go, the more they come down, and they droop down, especially any kind of damage to the rotor head up there on that impact. They can droop down a lot. They can droop down this level. So wait until the blades stop turning before you close the aircraft. It's also possible that the engines could still be operating. They could still be screaming. If the engines are still operating, that's okay. There's going to be a lot of noise, but the blades are really what you got to worry about. If they're still turning, I would wait before you come in. Go for the emergency exits. Don't try to open the doors. The doors may be all jammed up, so just look on the outside, just like I know you guys are trained. If it says pull here to open, we'll pull there and open, and then try to extract us based on your training. At that point, you're the experts. All we're doing is just waiting for somebody to come get us. This is the flotation is here. It's in a horse collar. There's 2 separate bladders, but this beaded handle, we pull it, it inflates via CO2, and you get the big orange bladder that comes up on the front of your chest and behind your head. Underneath here inside the zipper is where those 2 manual inflating valves are, and you just blow into them. If you are trying to pull us from the aircraft while we're underwater, please don't pull that. You know, or if you do, pop it all with a knife, lickety split. But that's not a good hauling point right there. You know, you can grab anywhere else. It's designed for us to be hoisted in this vest. It's got lifting straps that are inside here that we pull out and can attach. So the whole thing is designed for us to be able to be lifted up out of the water. So it is robust. You can pull on it, grab on it, just not there.
On this segment of Tech Rescue, Master Firefighter Mike Kellerh gives us part 2 of a 2-part series on vehicle stabilization. What to do when the vehicle is on its roof.
All right, we're back with part 2 with a vehicle on its roof. Part 1, we did the vehicle on its side. Today we're going to show you a couple ways to do a vehicle on its roof. So the initial stabilization, again, things we're looking for. We want to make sure that there's no wires, nobody's underneath it maybe. Hey, part of our walk around of the vehicle is maybe somebody's pinned underneath it or whatnot. But we're looking for those hazards, you know, the wires, the fluids leaking, another vehicle next to it, some wires, again, like I say, wires is a big one coming down on top of it, if it's at night especially, okay? So our initial stabilization, the guys are gonna go ahead and start doing that. We're gonna go ahead and talk about who's the initial companies on the vehicle extrication. An engine company, typically, so they have the step chalks on the engine and they're ready to go. You know, they're doing, maybe one person is doing initial assessment on the patient to see, hey, are they confirmed and trapped in there? or maybe they've already climbed out of the vehicle. But we have the step chocks, so they're going ahead and they're putting them in there, and all they want to do is just kind of capture the vehicle initially. Okay, we're not trying to really support the vehicle because we're not doing any lifting or anything like that, but we want to make sure that we have something in there to keep it from moving. We have the step chocks in, we're ready to do some sort of patient care maybe. All right, so now I need to get maybe a guy in there or somebody in there to do patient care. Who do I have? How many patients do I have? What's the condition of them? Can they get out on their own? All right. We don't know, so we need to get in there and be able to assess that. So now that we have the vehicle stabilized, it's safe to say that now I can get a firefighter in there to do initial patient care. So now they can go in through one of the windows or through the back and get in there and assess the patient. Now if we're looking at this vehicle and they say, look, they're not too bad off, we could probably do a side out, take the doors off, remove that, and take the patient out the side. There's nothing wrong with that. However, just remember, when we start taking the doors off the vehicle, that we tend to lose some strength in the side of the vehicle, okay? The A post, the B post, they may be still intact, but if we do a complete side out, we've removed maybe the B post, now we're starting to tend to weaken that vehicle, so we need to do some more stabilization. Maybe the patient is very large, maybe they really need to be backboarded good, maybe we need to remove them out the back. And what we're gonna do today is we're gonna go ahead and put the rescue jacks in the back, and we're going to say, hey, we need to make a small lift on the vehicle, remove the roof, remove the patient out the back. So we've chosen to go ahead and lift the vehicle up with the rescue jacks. So the first thing we're going to do is we need to get some sort of a purchase on this vehicle to put the rescue jacks in to make that lift. What John's doing is he's taking the chain and he's going to wrap the chain around the back end of the vehicle, and that's going to create a basket for us to be able to take the rescue jacks and place right into them. Come right in here with the rescue jacks, and it gives us some sort of place to grab onto the vehicle, okay? Coming in and putting the rescue jack into the vehicle and trying to make a lift on the vehicle is very unsafe. There's nothing on this vehicle that's really gonna sustain the vehicle from getting lifted up, all right? So we wanna come in here with a chain. So we put the chain on, we basketed it. Now we have our rescue jacks in place where we want them. We're not too low and we're not too high. The jack is down. All right, so if we have to lift, it's already down, collapsed. Sometimes you'll go out there and the guys will have them already halfway jacked up. We wanna make sure that it's down. We wanna be able to lift the thing as much as we can. So we've extended it up, we've got it into a good place. Now what's gonna keep this chain from falling, we'll go over that here in a second, but we also wanna capture in between our jacks itself. Tom here is taking a ratchet strap. If we're gonna do a heavy lift, we wanna go ahead and use the proper chain for that. This ratchet strap is rated for a lot. It's sufficient for this vehicle. Tom's gonna go ahead, and what he's gonna do is he's gonna ratchet it together, and then he's gonna do an overhand on the ratchet itself so it doesn't pull through. So he'll put an overhand in there and just snug it up. And that's just to keep the jacks from spreading out, okay? The next thing we wanna do, as you can see what John is doing here, is we need to keep this chain, as we start jacking, from falling backwards, okay? If it falls forward like this, it's not too big of a deal because when we start lifting, it's gonna pull up. But what we don't want to happen is we don't want the jacks to fall off or the chain to fall backwards. So they're gonna go ahead and snug those up just a little bit, and then what we wanna do is we wanna start lifting it up. The other thing you might see happen is we'll have to get another ratchet strap together. Will you get that, Tom? Is another thing that's going to want to happen is maybe it wants to go forward. So how we can have that, stop that from happening is we'll take another ratchet strap from here and we'll come around the back of the vehicle and we'll marry those together. As you can see we're doing right here. So now I've kept this chain from going forward and I've kept it from going backwards, all right? So it's not gonna go anywhere, all right? So now I'm ready to actually do a lift. Remember, as I'm doing a lift, I wanna be able to capture my progress. So that might be with the step chocks, is fine, okay? So we're gonna capture just in case something happens. The next thing we've done is we've taken a ratchet strap and we've taken from the base here all the way to the front of the vehicle. Remember, if I start lifting with this, is one thing that we found out through trial and error over time, and I've seen it on YouTube numerous times with people trying to lift with some sort of stabilization device. One thing you don't want to do is you don't want to have a strap coming up to the vehicle from the base of the jack, because what happens is what's going to happen is as you start jacking, the strap itself is pulling the jack down, so it's fighting against each other. So you want to make sure that your angles are proper. If I went up a little bit on the side of the vehicle, that may be okay, but what I'm going to do here is I'm going to come all the way around the front, and just to keep this thing from kicking out this way. That's all I'm trying to accomplish. Could I put a picket here? Sure, all day long. That would be great. But we've taken it over here and we've taken the ratchet strap and we've done that. The next thing we want to do is we want to, if we're getting ready to lift this vehicle up, is we want to keep the vehicle from pushing that way. So what John's going to do is he's going to go ahead and take a picket, and he's going to take it up front, and he's going to drive it in through the hood of the car, in between the bumper, to make sure the vehicle doesn't move. Now if the vehicle's down on in the grass or on the side of the road somewhere, this is fairly easy, but if it's in the middle of the interstate and you're driving a picket down through the asphalt or through the concrete, it may be a little more difficult. So I might want to secure the vehicle another way. Maybe do a tie back to a battalion vehicle, which would be pretty cool. Tie that back to his vehicle, tie it back to the rig itself, the ladder, the engine or whatnot, just to keep it from sliding. Okay. Another way we could accomplish this is maybe putting in some wedge packs in the front and tightening those up. They typically tend to want to shift as you lift. Unless you can squish them down as you lift, they'll get compressed down. That's the ultimate, you know, that would be the good way to do it, but sometimes that doesn't happen. So what we've done here today to keep the vehicle from moving is we drove a picket through the bottom of the car. We have the rescue jacks secured pretty good. I feel like we're ready to do a lift. Okay, remember, we're not trying to lift the car 14 feet in the air. What are we trying to accomplish? Maybe we have to get it up off somebody. Maybe somebody's pinned underneath it. Maybe we have to lift it, but we're only going to lift it enough to get the person out. What we're going to do today is we're just going to lift it enough that when we take the roof off, that the roof will slide out. Right now, there's tension on the roof because the vehicle is resting on it. So the guys are going to go ahead and start lifting up with the jacks. And one thing you want to do when you're doing that is you want to have somebody that's going to assess the vehicle. Maybe somebody that's walking around going, hey, this side of the jack is lifting up a little more than the other, so go ahead and catch up with me. The vehicle right now, as I'm standing back, I'm looking at the vehicle. It's going up very nice and level right now. Again, I'm looking, all I want to do is I want to make sure that the roof comes off the A-post, up where the A-post is, the front of the roof line, comes up, just gets a little bit off. If it's still down just a little bit, is it going to hurt? Probably not. What I can do to accomplish that is be able to do is just make 2 cuts on the A-post. I make 2 cuts, one high, one low, and it comes out in a section, and the roof will slide right out. Okay. So we've put our step chocks in there to capture in case we're getting ready to fall. All right. So are we done yet? No. What's going to keep this vehicle from coming this way? Well, maybe the picket in the front is, but what we're going to do now is we're going to come in here with a static one, and we're going to place that into play, and we're going to create that nice triangle to keep this from going anywhere. As you can see, we've came in with that static jack, and we've came in and we've captured the back of the vehicle, and we've created a nice triangle around there. Now some will argue, do I need this? Is it going to be in the way of my roof coming out? Hey, if you're making that decision on bringing the roof all the way out, we could probably go ahead and take this out of there. But just keep in mind that you're going to lose some stability with these jacks here from rocking back that way. Now you might be okay with that picket in the front. You size the vehicle up. Hey, it's really not going to move anywhere. We can go with it. This is just added safety. As you can see, we've just used the cam buckles. We've created a nice triangle here. We've done the overhand knots on the side, and we've got it up there nice and snug. It's just giving us that added security in case something was to rock back on it. Again, you could drive a picket down into the bottom right here and keep it from moving. Could I get that roof out? I could slide it out, and then I could probably wedge it in between or slide it right between these 2 jacks right here. So really it's not that big a deal. Remember, maybe we don't have to get the roof all the way out. We just want to get it down enough to where we can get in there and get to the patient and then take them right out. So maybe I don't have to get the whole roof out. Maybe I can just drop it down, okay? So you can see now we've lifted the vehicle up. We have the tension off the roof, and we can go ahead and take the roof off the vehicle. One of the nice things now is we can come in here and make some cuts and use the roof as a skid maybe. Put the patient down on them, put the backboard in there, and then just slide the whole system out as one, okay? Remember, If there's pieces of the A post or the B post are in the way and they might get in your way, hinder it, there's nothing wrong with making a cut here high and a cut low on the B post, and do it in sections, okay? That will also take a lot of the tension off the A post or the roof itself as well. So there's nothing wrong with that. You can come in here, again, the A post, make some high and low cuts. It gets it away from the vehicle and away it goes. Remember, with that, the glass is still gonna be in there. So what happens a lot of times is once we flap the roof down and the patient's on there, we can't slide it out because the glass is in there. So you're gonna need to make sure somebody gets in there and at least removes the section of glass that's still holding onto the vehicle. So you can make those cuts on the A post, but you remember wherever your one cut is on the A post, go ahead and cut that glass right across there, one cut. You don't have to totally remove the glass, but make sure that it's taken away from the vehicle so when the roof comes out, it slides out in one assemble. That was part 2 with the vehicle on its roof. Hopefully you got something out of it. It's a good knock off the cobwebs just to kind of go over and do it again. For us, it's always nice to come out here and do it. So if you got any questions, give me a call. If you want to see something else, hey, I'm more than willing to do part 3. So if you have any questions, give me a call.
Up next is Captain Ray Chisnell on how to operate the brand new Quint at Station 17.
Hello, I'm Captain Ray Chisnell. Welcome to Frontline. We're going to talk about Engine 17 today. We have a few different pieces and parts on Engine 17. It's a new truck. It's more like a ladder truck than an engine, but it is a Quint. On this truck we have a few items I'd like to go over and show everybody. All right, one of the first things I wanted to talk about is on this truck we don't have a front intake. As you can see, all we have is an 1.5 inch line for our car fires and dumpster fires. Since Engine 17 doesn't have a front intake, we have 2 side intakes. This is the one on the pump panel side, and then we have one on the right side as well. Engine 17 was delivered to us with no drafting tubes, no hard suctions. And normally we go up here on most engines, but we don't have them on this truck. Most people come here in relief, just want them to know that we won't be doing any drafting with this truck. On Engine 17 we have a little different complement of ground ladders on here than an engine company does. We have 2 16-foot roof ladders. We have a 2-section 28-foot extension ladder. We have a 3-section 35-foot extension ladder. And we have a typical attic ladder on the other side. So it's going to be a little bit different than what most engine companies have. On Engine 17, we have 5 sections of high-rise hose. We requested 2 extra in addition to the 3 they gave everybody. So back in the back is where we keep our extra sections of high-rise hose. They're rolled up different than normal. We just have them, to make them fit, we have them rolled up in a double donut style. We have a portable deck gun. It's called a Blitz Fire. It's a nice tool to use. It only requires 1 3-inch line to go to it. It's easy to set up. And when it's flowing, it has an automatic shut-off on it. So if it tips over for any reason, it automatically shuts off, so it can leave it as an unmanned monitor nozzle. It also pans back and forth on its own. We're going to demonstrate the Blitz Fire nozzle for you. And you can see it's easy set up. These just fold out real quick and easy. It's got 1 line coming into it. This is your bail. Right now it's closed. You pop this open. Got all the way open. She stays and runs on her own. This, you could stop anywhere by pushing the red button, stop where you want it. You push the green button. You just kind of hit it in, tap it in. Eventually it'll catch and hold, and you can also adjust from 20 degrees, 30 degrees, and 40 degrees. Now it's only going back and forth 20 degrees at a time. Now it's going 30 degrees. Now it's going 40 degrees. Now I'm back to 20 degrees. It's just going back and forth. You can adjust fog stream to straight stream. We're gonna shake the nozzle a little bit to get it to kick off for you, so you'll see it'll kick off all by itself if it tips over. See, all I did was pick it up and drop it a little bit to simulate that it tipped over or something, and it shuts down by itself automatically. All right, right now we are flowing the portable monitor, the Blitzfire that we just talked about, and at the same time we just set our aerial ladder up, and Steve Valentine is getting that adjusted and getting our ladder pipe set up and flowing. And what we're doing is kind of simulate if we're fighting a fire with the ladder pipe and maybe protecting an exposure with the Blitzfire. All right, we've taken the time to set up ladder. It's not really a ladder. We set up the aerial part of our engine to the Dunes condos. So we just kind of give you an idea of the reach of the aerial part of our engine. And as you can see up here, we're at the top balcony right now, and they have a good reach for that balcony to do pickoffs. As you can see, we have the engine's aerial part of the setup. It's set up to the roof. We can access a lot of the roof, but not every bit of the roof. We can't reach the peak, but we can access a lot of this roof. All right, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank everybody for watching this little segment on Engine 17. Again, we just had a nice review of our Quint. One last little piece of information I'd like to add is that this truck carries 500 gallons of water on it, and just like any typical engine. Appreciate your time. It was a good little show. Thank you.
That does it for this edition of Virginia Beach Frontline Firefighter. If you have any comments or suggestions, please send them to Kirk Kellerhals at the email address on the screen. Also, don't forget to like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and watch us on YouTube. Until next time, I'm Master Firefighter Stuart Sayer. Stay safe.
Should old acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind? Should old acquaintance be forgot and days of old lang syne? For old lang syne, my dear, for old lang syne, we'll take a cup o' kindness yet for days of old lang syne. We twa run about the braes and put the gowans fine.